and talk about the plus degrees to it, because we read it every week, and you know, there's a deeper understanding to the question there. So I kind of want to run through it, but I want active participation. All right. So, for example, we'll do the first one. Well, I'll do the first one. Anyone that wants to add on to those degrees, we call these plus degrees, right? So the first question in the Quran questionnaire is, who made you? Allah. Now, mind you, this is Quran questions for Moorish children. But our understanding is that of children when it comes to things like nationality, politics, you know, government, all these history, our genealogy, all these things we are children in because we have little to no understanding on these subjects. So, who made you? Allah. So the Prophet gave the question and the answer for all 101 of these. So he is claiming that the creator of mankind is Allah. And we use the term Allah as Muslims, or some people will pronounce Muslims. We use the term Allah. So why is it that he's making this claim, and what does it mean? Well, if you look, now this is how we're going to do the knowledge, right? If you have your phone, go to your web browser. You can do this along with me. I'm going to type in the word Allah and then the word etymology. E-T-Y-M-O-L-O-G-Y. So it doesn't necessarily give you a definition. It gives you the origin of a word, and it traces it from language to language to its inception. Okay? So we're going to look at the first thing that pop up for those that are following is the Encyclopedia Britannica, or the Britannica.com. Okay, so that's a very credible secondary source. Etymology Online is another good one, but since Britannica has such a profound name recognition in terms of meanings of words, we're going to look at that one. So I'm going to click on that link. And it says Allah, Arabic, right? No surprise. And it puts in parentheses the word God, right? Allah meaning God. The one and only God in Islam, all right? So we already know that it's a monotheistic God, Allah, okay? Etymologically, the name Allah is probably a contraction of the Arabic al-ilah, the God. The name's origin can be traced to the earliest Semitic writings. Now, the whole controversy with Nick Cannon and anti-Semitism and him saying we Hebrews. So it's talking about, so Allah is connected to that Semitic origin, right? The name's origin can be traced to the earliest Semitic writings in which the word for God was, pay attention, Il, spelled I-L, El, spelled E-L, like my last name, like brother Jason Bab L's last name, the word El, right? Or Elah, E-L-O-A-H, right? Which you see the L right there. The latter two used in the Hebrew Bible, right? E-L and E-L-O-A-H were used in the Hebrew Bible. So when you speaking English and you say so you would think who made you God, but that's not the name of the creator according to the original language, the original tongue in which the scriptures were written. So even if you're a Christian, you should bear witness to the name of the creator. So for example, if you're in an Arabic speaking country, if you're a Christian person, you're calling God Allah as well. You are using the term Allah instead of the word God. When you're reading a Bible that's translated in Arabic, where the word God would be mentioned, the word Allah would be there. Okay? So Allah is the standard Arabic word for God. We just covered that. And is used by Arabic-speaking Christians. Oh, I didn't even say this. It is used by Arabic-speaking Christians and Jews, as well as by Muslims. You speaking Arabic, as I just stated, and you're used, but it's phonetically and linguistically to the Hebrew, because Arabic and Hebrew are sister languages. We're only going to continue briefly, just, a little more on this. Actually, no, I'm going to back out and go to the part that they highlighted on the main page. So on the Google, they cut out a paragraph to kind of give you a preview. Or actually, no, I read that part already. So that's good enough right there. We already know that the word, so now I'm going to look at etymology online, just to kind of crystallize and bring it home, because it's a very short writing. So etymologyonline.com, if you type in the word Allah, it says Arabic name for the supreme being. Now, see, the Grand Sheikh, our Grand Sheikh, Yusuf Bey, K. Yusuf Bey, he broke down that the word God is a misnomer, that Allah and God are not the same thing. So Arabic for the name supreme being, that would be more in line with our understanding of what Allah is, because money could be a god. Anything could be a god. Anything that you worship or follow could be a god. But there's only one supreme being. There's only one grand architect, one creator of the universe, right? So from the supreme being, 1702, Al-Ha from Arabic, Allah, contraction from Al-La, literally the God, from Al, the, plus La, God, which is a cognate with Aramaic, Elah, comma, Hebrew, Eloah, in parentheses, see Elohim. So all of these terms, Eloah, Elohim, you're going to find that in the book of Genesis. Genesis meaning the beginning, the first book in the Bible, talking about the creation of the universe. And when you go through Genesis 1 and 2, you get an order of things that are created, the firmament, basically the heavens, the earth, all these things that are form structure, then the creation of all the living creatures on the planet Earth, and including mankind. So when you're reading in the book of Genesis, it's explaining that God created you, and we say in the word Allah, but now you understand the origin, that Allah is a proper term, because it's a cognate, it's related to the Semitic languages. Aramaic, Hebrew, and Arabic are sister languages, very similar to like Spanish and Italian, right? Or Portuguese. All of these languages kind of have similar words and similar terms because they were related. One precedes the other, and then, eventually manifests into another language. But again, El, which is the title that us Moorish Americans carry, Elah, Allah, Elohim, all of these terms are related, talking and referencing the powers of the supreme being that created everything in the universe. So you see how we have our scripture, but then you can go to extra biblical sources, extra Quranic sources, meaning sources outside of the scripture, to validate what it is that we profess as Moorish Americans. All right? This is how you study. And how long did it take me to Google that, to get this understanding? For the first question, who made you Allah? Allah is related to the term El or Elohim or Elah, the creator, the creative force in the book of Genesis. Boom. And one plus degree that the Grand Sheikh gave, and I'm gonna open up the floor for anybody else to try to add on. 1+ degree that he gave is, when you go into Freemasonry, the very last thing you learn is that Allah made you. You become what's called a Shriner. You go through all of the degrees, you go into this honorary degree in the Shrindom. They give you a fez to put on your head, and then they have you kiss the Quran, validating that the creator of the universe is Allah. So the very first lesson that we give our children, that we give all our members, who made you Allah, is the last lesson in Freemasonry. That you, coming into the Moorish Science Temple of America with no knowledge of who you are, have the right to wear the fez, because it's your birthright. Whereas you have to study to 35 to 50 years, according to the lessons of the Nation of Islam, but you have to go through the hierarchy, pay a bunch of fees within Freemasonry to finally get a fez that's bound down. It's not free-flowing 360 degrees like ours. It's bound at 33 degrees. They give you a fez, and then they reveal the Quran to you and have you kiss it. So our first lesson is their last lesson. So I want to open the floor now. If anybody want to throw any plus degrees onto the first key one in the Quran questions before we proceed. I'm encouraging active participation. All right, so we'll move on. Who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. I think we covered that in the first question. Can we see him? No. Obviously, Allah is not a man. It's not a person. It's not a being. We don't have to go into no deep science on that. No, you can't see him, because Allah is the all, first off, but it's a force. It's the origin of all things. You know, finite minds can't comprehend the infinite. So it's the infinite force throughout the universe that encompasses everything in the universe. No, we can't see him. It's not one being or entity like, you know, can you see a mirror? Oh, yes, you can. You can come see me wherever I'm at, you know. Where's the nearest place we can meet him? In the heart. So I want some more to kind of participate on that, but I'll give you my understanding. You will find verses in the scripture. I don't even want to give you the verse. You will find verses in the scripture that reference the heart in the creator. So in the Bible, I'm not sure about the Quran, but potentially the Quran, but I'll definitely open the floor to more. We got 101 questions, and we have another itinerary that I'm hoping we'll be able to get off the ground. So while we doing this, I want to let me see who's in the okay, all right. That individual hasn't arrived yet, so we're gonna continue on with this. But I don't want to be long-winded on focusing on whatever have you. Who is Noble Ali? He is Allah's prophet. So that's the next question. What is a prophet? A prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. All right. So why would the prophet Noble Ali put that he's manifested in the flesh? Because we have to understand that Christianity got us spooked out. You know, Christianity and other forms of religion is this mystical thing that's kind of detached from reality. So manifested in the flesh, Allah, all thoughts of Allah is everything. Everything in the known universe, in the unknown universe, is a thought of Allah. Because you have to understand how creation works. Before you create anything, like say you wanted to create an invention, you wanted to make an invention. Where's the first place that the invention exists? It exists in your mind. Before you make a blueprint and put it down on paper, you've already visualized. You've already created a concept of what it is you want to manifest into reality within the framework of your own mind. So the chair that you're sitting on, the device you're holding in your hand to participate in this meeting, the headphones you may have, the fez or turban you may be wearing, the clothing you got on, the home that you're living in, everything around you that you could see that a man had created in mind. Before you decide what you want to do for them, what you want to be when you grow up, it's in your mind. So so us being made in the image and after the likeness of Allah, we follow that same framework where we think of something before we create it. And so Allah created prophets for mankind. But we're going to find out why in the next question, which is key 7. What is the duty of a prophet? To save nations from the wrath of Allah. So when you understand scripture, you understand that nations were in dire straits. Like, for example, just
Islam, Amir. Islam.
Rashid?
Yeah, he coming in. He just hit me up.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll continue on until he arrives. I'll keep a lookout, but
all right. Peace.
We'll continue on until he arrives. Peace, Rashid. So we're gonna exercise brevity on this one. So you can find examples of prophets in the Bible and in the Prophet Muhammad, for example, with the Arabs before him. They were polytheistic. They were idol worshippers. There was a lot of wickedness going on in the land. The Israelites had prophet after prophet come to them because they weren't following the path. They were straying away from the laws and ordinances and statutes of Allah and performing wickedness. And then they would fall prey to slavery, to defeat, to famine, to various different things. And Allah would send a prophet to those people to save them and redeem them. But they would have to follow that prophet in order to receive that blessing. And a lot could be argued why we're in the condition we are today. And that's why Allah sent us our prophet, because we are suffering. Who's suffering more than us? Who's been suffering longer than us? Who has less than us in terms of political, social, and economic power in the nation of which has the most social, political, and economic power? So continuing on. We know Prophet Noble Ali founded the Moorish Science of America. He's letting us know the timeline, 1913 AD, where all these things are very important because we are tracing his steps. We're able to trace his steps. Where was he born? Where was Noble Ali born? In the state of North Carolina, 1886. Why is this important? Because you need to know that he is just like you, that he descends from the same people you do. He was born in the same landmass that you were born in, that for so-called Black Americans, because prophets are sent to the nations, and this is confirmed in Scripture. This wasn't a preemptive lesson, whatever, but there's a scripture that explains what we're talking about in terms of prophets being sent directly to nations. In the Quran, it talks about, I believe it talks about 144,000 prophets. I forget what exact number, but it's, thousands of prophets. And some prophets are not recorded in Scripture. They were sent to nations to specifically sent to them speaking their tongue. Because if they sent us a man from China as our prophet, and that Chinese man didn't speak English, what good would he be to us? He wouldn't serve. We wouldn't be able to understand him. He wouldn't be able to communicate in a way that would be beneficial to us. All right. So what is his nationality? Letting you know, this man born in the state of North Carolina, his nationality is Moorish American. What is your nationality, Moorish American? Let you know that your prophet is the same as you. Why are we Moorish Americans? So this is a question we should take a second on. Why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. Before I drop what I gotta say, does anybody have any demonstration on that? Sheik or not? Like, I don't want people to get bored just hearing my voice.
Islam.
Islam, Muslim.
This outlaw
The
Ben.
floor is yours.
We rise, thought, giving praise to Allah and honor to the Prophet. Noble Drew Ali, we give honor to everything that you gave honors to in opening the meeting. When we talk about why are we Moorish Americans, first you have to look at the laws that you read every Friday. Act 6 from the Divine Constitution and bylaws. Then in our Quran in chapter 47, verses 6 and 7, it gives us some more supporting scriptures of why we are Moorish Americans. Years ago, I came across something that dealt with nationality. And it starts out, it says, to be lost in the sea of humanity is like being lost at sea, lost in the desert with just self and me. Self, history, culture, heritage, unknown, hiding behind labels with sounds, but has no grounds. Prove to the world that you are no clown. Proclaim your nationality. Peace.
Peace. Islam. Thank you very much, Angel. Appreciate you. Anybody else want to add on? Y'all Moors got to bear witness. This is a class. If you got one single degree pertaining to something we're talking about, it's worth mentioning. And it's worth mentioning because I may be privy to that degree, but it just may not even pop up in my head. So when you read this question, let me phrase it a different way. When you read this question, what does it make you think? How would you validate this? And another reason why we're doing this is because how are you going to explain Moorish science if you can't explain a questionnaire for children?
Islam. Does is Sheikh Sadiq Bey. Just to add on a little quick about this question, because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America, you gotta understand the history that the Moorish Empire, it extended over the waters, and Moors was going back and forth long before Columbus. And those of us who've been here, who know that they are descendants of Moors, that's why we say that we are, partly why we say that we're descendants of Moroccans born in America, because the empire extended over here to the Americas too.
Islam. That's mainly what I was looking for Moors to say. And I know there ain't nobody really sitting in here that's been in this, that's members of this temple that don't know the answer to that. And that will be my go-to. That for me personally, what the Sheikh gave, obviously he's a Sheikh for a reason. He made something that's already simple. He kept it simple, but he just expounded upon what was said. So does anyone else have any, you can take it deeper if you want to take it deeper. These are plus degrees, so you don't have to keep it on a basic level. But we want to really explore this subject, the one-on-ones. Anyone else want to add on? To give some ideas, you could point to artifacts, you can point to documents, historical documents. You could point to historical events. Okay, you could point to secondary sources like journals and history books written contemporary by historians. You could reference historical figures and what they said. There's so many ways and avenues that you could approach this. That's why I want to get the plus degree, so you have multiple answers per question. How about this? Can somebody explain the Treaty of the Peace and Friendship and relate it to this particular question?
Islam.
Islam, Sheikh, the floor yours.
Islam. First, I rise to my highest height, giving all perfect praise to Allah, and giving all honor to all true and divine prophets, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius, and our prophet in these last days and times, Noble Drew Ali. I extend those honors to all our governing sheiks, sheikesses, and all the members, and all Asiatics, all righteous Asiatics. Islam, peace. So, the law that he's speaking of is a treaty between the Kingdom of Morocco at that time, which it was a Moorish empire, as is more popularly known. Moroccan is a modern term, which was given reference to the indigenous inhabitants. But at that time, our ruler was Sultan. That Sultan was Yusuf Muhammad Bey. He signed off on the recognition of America. This was due to the trade. Also, when you look at this historically, there's two words that you can look up. You have the Barbary powers, and then you have the Tripolitan powers, or the Tripolitan wars, which comes from the word Tripoli, which is on page 3, when it speaks about the ancient and modern Moroccans, Moors, Moroccans, Moabites, and it tells you about the kingdoms that it extends. So these kingdoms was Morocco, Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli, etc. And this is what this reference is history. This is what this history is referencing. It was a time when we were still a world power. And as you can see, this wasn't 400 to 200 years ago. So it shows you the world dominance of our empire, Islam.
Islam. Could I get one of the brothers or sisters that are not sheiks to or sheikesses to just do a quick Google search on peace and friendship, and to get an explanation to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and just get a synopsis real quick. I'm gonna actually do the same. Islam.
And you look at the year 1787. Islam.
Islam, appreciate you, Mo. And while y'all getting that, all right, a brother or sister, just Google a Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Try to get a small summary or explanation of it. But we're gonna read the prologue. I'm gonna read an excerpt from the prologue, right, in the Moorish Quran. Okay, so that's page 3 of the Moorish Quran. The first section of it explains, the purpose of the pamphlet and what have you. But at the bottom, I'm gonna ask Sheikh Zadik if he has his Quran with him. I'm sure he does have it next to him. To read the industrious acts of the Muslims part on page 3 at the bottom, because Sheikh Muhammad was just talking about that. He's referencing that the Prophet actually gave you a historical summary within your Moorish Quran on the 3rd page, the first page that he actually is talking and writing to the Moors. Islam, Sheikh.
By the Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, the industrious acts of the Muslims of the Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, Hamathites, Canaanites, who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc.
Wait,
Islam.
these kingdoms. What was the first kingdom?
Oh, Islam. First kingdom, I'll say it again. These kingdoms are called this day Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc.
Now, pay attention to the words. He said, this day. Now, this day ain't today. This day is in his day when he wrote that document, when he wrote the Moorish Quran, when he wrote the records for us. So prior to that is the history that Muhammad's talking about. This day is in I believe the pamphlet was written in 1927, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can correct me on that or, verify that. But 1927 is, I believe, when the Moorish Quran pamphlet was published.
Islam. All rights to this pamphlet is 1927, same page. Islam.
Oh, right. That's actually the last sentence in the paragraph above that. Thank you, Mo. So the pamphlet was published in 1927. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship was when? You just gave it 82 you said?
87.
87, okay.
87.
87, right. So we have centuries earlier, prior to the coming of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So when Sheikh Muhammad is going into the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, he's specifying a different timeline prior to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. But later on, they broke off into kingdoms when the Moorish Empire started to break up. Okay? But prior to that, those different kingdoms that he mentioned are all inhabited North Africa was all one under the Moorish Empire. And if you look at the three letters in the beginning of the word Morocco, what does it spell? More. It's more Rocco. All right? And the word more, before it's only one O. The word more has different spelling variations. M-O-H-R references the Moors. M-U-I-R represents the Moors. M-O-O-R-E, M-O-O-R, M-U-U-R. There are various different spellings of the term Moor in different languages and what have you. But you look at the nation of Mauritania, M-A-U-R, Mauritania. Mauritania, the word M-A-U-R is another variation of the spelling of the word Moor. It was also a part of the Moorish Empire. Okay? So that's the ancient connection to being a Moor. And then he went into the Moors being over here in the Western Hemisphere in America. So you could go into historians like James Adair, I believe his name is. Let me Google that to make sure. Let me Google that just to make sure. James
James there.
I just want to be 100% sure. I don't like to give. James Adair. His last name is spelled A-D-A-I-R. All right, so I'm just gonna click on Wikipedia. This is not, scholarly, whatever, but the first thing you see is his gravestone, James Robert Adair, M.D. So I'm gonna read the biography of him. James Adair was a native of County Antrim, Ireland, who went to North America and became a trader with the Native Americans in the southeastern woodlands. Now, when he came in contact and was trading with these Native Americans, which you'll read if you read more about him, he wrote a book. He wrote the first book pertaining to, documentation on the Native Americans. I believe it's called History of the American Indian or something like that. But just look up James Adair and whatever books he wrote and something along that lines. And he wrote that he believes, based on his observations and the things that that the ancestors of the Native Americans were either the Moors or the Hebrews, both of which we in this temple profess that we are and identify as, based on their customs, their traditions, the words in their language, things of that nature. So where we at? I don't know where the brother is in terms of who's supposed to be having this conversation with us, but we're going to continue on. Let me see where we at in the one-on-ones. So you see how from that one question,
Islam,
why are we
Amir.
more? Islam.
The brother's on. He got his picture up.
Okay,
Brother,
let me see.
the double master teacher, he's up.
Oh, Islam. So we're gonna conclude on there. We were just doing this particular lesson, going through our particular lessons to kind of fortify ourselves in the knowledge. But this conversation is actually dedicated to the brother who's on line right now. I'm gonna allow the Grand Sheikh to introduce him. This is the Grand Sheikh's guest. He's also our guest, and we would like to give the brother a warm welcome. So I'm gonna allow the Grand Sheikh to introduce the brother.
Yeah, it's Islam. I want to give rise to the Most High, who referred to as
Islam.
Islam. I want to give honors. I want to give praise to the Most High, referred to as Allah. Give honors to all divine prophets. Give honors to Prophet Noah Drelly, first, second, and third form. Give honors to Grand Sheikh Timothy Noble Drew Ali. Give honors to all the sheiks, sheikesses, and guests on the line. This is Grand Sheikh Yusef Bey. And today we have a brother here, go by the name of Lex Vortex. It says double master teacher. And he wanted to discuss to us about nationality, and that nationality is not important. That we've been tricked by engaging in this concept called nationality. And he been talking to me about probably maybe a week and a half via Facebook about this particular topic, and that he believed that we've been fooled and we've been tricked into this construct called nationality. He's going to give his take on it, and we're going to dialogue about this. So with that, I say peace, and I want to welcome the brother Lex Vortex on the in the meeting. Peace.
Peace, brother Lex. The floor is yours, brother.
Hey, peace. How everybody doing? Peace. And well, on the dark side, we say chaos and power. I know people are used to hearing peace. Yeah, man, I'm here to have any conversation. I think it'll be a good conversation. I think a lot of people in humanity is going to get free in this day and time as we start breaking the constructs of the matrix and the program of the controllers. By the way, that book was a good book. I used to read it all the time by James Adair. And he definitely was saying that the Native Americans were the Israelites. Because when I was a Hebrew Israelite, we used to use that book a lot as evidence, which, because every cult has their books that they use and that they want to find as evidence. They used to also use the book A Star in the West by Elias Boudinot, who wrote about so-called the Native Americans. And always claimed they was Hebrews and Israelites and all that type of stuff. But I just have to comment. That used to be my go-to books when I was a fake Black Hebrew Israelite and in some type of identity crisis. But yeah, brothers, nationality is it's a construct by the controllers. The only label, I guess, that you can give a human being on the planet is, whatever we choose to call the species here on the planet, which is today they say human. I like to reference only for symbolism, and that's because when you look at your Bible and Quran or whatever it is, you'll see the enemy's plans in there to divide and control. And whenever you see Yahweh, Allah, whatever God you want to talk about, that's just the enemy hiding behind a name to lord over humanity. And you'll see, and that because it's human beings, and they are given reverence to this being that's not even from Earth or whatever beings or angels as their guidance, and the thing that created them or whatever is something from another planet or outer space or whatever it is. So all of those gods, from what I gathered from the mental Akashic records and from study, all these religions, whether it be Allah, Yahweh, even if we go back to Egypt, If you go to even in the Americas, they all have these stories of being visited by these gods and getting information. And eventually they just become servants. They become the servants of Allah, the servants of Yahweh. Then not only that, you know that these are vampiric spirits because they demand blood. And you have, you know, people all across the world from Africa to Asia sacrificing to these gods. And anybody I think that comes to
peace, brother Lex Vortex. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I don't know if this is the focus of the discussion, because we don't mind having a discussion on anything, but I believe our discussion was, we stand on the side that nationality is essential. You're saying not only is it not essential, it's an enslavement system or something like that. So I kind of want you to focus on that narrative and kind of build your argument as to why our
yeah,
people
that's
that we
what
refer
I'm
to as
doing,
black or
brother.
whatever. Okay,
Because
now,
I
because we
mean,
was going
all of
into
that.
cosmology. You know, I want
Well, all
to
of that's
kind
a
of
big
focus
part of it, though.
specifically on the
That's what I'm
subject.
saying. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it
Okay.
up.
All
I'm
right.
just
Sorry about that.
laying down the foundation because I mean that cosmology is a part of where you get your nationality, and from what that's what I'm saying. So there is no nationality, period. What is that? Where does that come from? Who said that? Who made that the rules? It doesn't exist in what is substantial. And it is the cause of all really human division and problems on the planet. Nationality and tribalism. Plain and simple, divide and conquer. Without nationality, there would be no wars, really. I couldn't necessarily say that with absolute, certainty. There would be no wars on the planet, really, though, for the most part. Like we've seen, especially in the past 100 years. And really, if you look at the history of war, it was nationalistic. And then when you look at the nationalistic history of war, there was always somebody that was funding both sides of it too. You know what I mean? But I refer to, like I was saying real quick, and then I'll have y'all chime in and explain to me how spirits that are encased in bodies that will eventually go back to the ground can be classified as anything according to their flesh. When their flesh, it has nothing to do with their true identity, which is God itself. So unless God is God is a Chinese God of infinite spirit, is a more, then you know what I'm saying. If you can convince me of that, then I guess you can convince me that nationality is pertinent for humanity, that it is beneficial for humanity. You know what I mean? So the reason why I started referring to their gods and all of that is because you can see the outline of the enemy within their religious text. That's why, I always say I have the spirit of Nimrod of this day and time. I'm here to rebuild the Tower of Babel. Because when you read in their crazy Christian Abrahamic faith books, you'll see that humanity began to build the Tower of Babel. And what happened? The gods got angry. Let's go down there and confuse their languages so they can't communicate, and then divide them up into nations and tongues. So that's my premise and that's my base.
That's peace. Islam.
That's peace.
Islam. Muhammad, because the brother mentioned about sacrificing to the gods in these different nature. Can you read the Morse Quran chapter 8, verse 19 to 24? When it comes to our perspective about sacrificing animals of that nature?
Islam.
Bear with us a moment.
Islam. Where did you want me to start, Greshi?
Morse Quran chapter 8, verse 19 to 24, pertaining to the sacrificing of animals.
Islam. This is instruction 19, chapter 8. When you would offer a sacrifice unto Allah, just take your gift of grain or meat and lay it on the table of the poor. From it, an instant will arise to heaven, which will return you with blessedness. Tear down your idols. They can hear you not. Turn all your sacrificial altars into fuel for the flames. Make human hearts your altars, and burn your sacrifices with the fire of love. And all the people were entranced and would have Jesus as a God. But Jesus said, I'm your brother man, just come to show the way to Allah. You shall not worship man. Praise Allah, the Holy One. Islam.
So what I'm saying is that according to our teachers, we don't believe in sacrificing animals. We believe that our life is our sacrifice to humanity. So, when you start dealing with the Ebionite teachings, you know that they didn't sacrifice animals. They was what they call vegetarians, which is also mentioned in our Moorish Quran. And so that whole concept of sacrificing animals, us Moors don't deal with that. We give our life for sacrifice of humanity, for us for uplifting humanity and dealing with the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And give me the Moorish Quran, chapter 7, verse 2 to 3, I believe.
So you guys don't believe in or adhere to the Holy Quran of Mecca?
We adhere to principles within the Holy Quran of Mecca, but also in the Holy Quran of Mecca, it says that your life is more of a sacrifice than sacrificing animals.
Yeah, I mean, even in the Bible, God says, "I'm tired of your sacrifices from blood and bulls." You got the, you definitely always have the esoteric symbolic meaning, but I mean, it was an intricate part of,
Yeah, well, we
of
come from
those services.
yeah, where we come from those ancient concepts or that ancient ideology of not sacrificing animals. Like we are the living sacrifice for humanity based upon the 5 principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
well that's cool.
And
Your Noble Drew Ali evolved you past some of that part of religion, and that's a good thing. Like Christianity kind of did for like the Old Testament. Like you don't need to sacrifice animals no more. Jesus is the sacrifice now. I get it. I mean, and that's a cool principle. So
I got one more.
that's honorable.
I got one more for you because you mentioned about like the gods and these different things. I believe it's Moorish Quran chapter 7 verse 2 to 3.
Islam. Chapter 7, 2 to 3. One day as Jesus and Lamas walked alone in Plaza Jagannath, Lamas said, My Jewish master, what is truth? And Jesus said, truth is the only thing that changes not. Islam.
Yeah, that's not it. I was looking for the one where it says Allah and man are one. You know where that's at?
Yeah, move. Move.
Any of y'all got that? If y'all don't got it, it's all right.
All right. Well, while you're looking for that, I just wanted to add on one thing. The thing about the cosmology argument is that when we're talking about something as broad as nationality, you're gonna have different cosmologies depending on who you're talking about, and that's how you got into the confusion of equating arguments that don't even relate to us. But if you're focusing on nationality and that's what you want to talk about, then we can talk about it in the broad sense in terms of human beings and nationality. Now, religion and nationality may go hand in hand, but they're not the same thing. They're not synonymous. And so I didn't really hear any arguments levied against nationality that makes sense to say we need to throw nationality away.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
the main argument, I mean, okay. I think that religion brought about nationality. You know what I'm saying? That was the tool really used. But we can even throw that out the window and just use logic,
if
common
you want to
sense.
just talk about religion, we could just talk. If you just want to talk about religion, then
No,
I'm just
I'm
trying to
not
keep the
talking about
discussion
religion.
focused because we could be all over the place. Okay, so you want to talk
Well,
about nationality?
hold on, bro. The Moorish
That's
Science Temple of
you
America is labeled as a religious and national movement.
right. We're both.
So we can't. All right. So that's why I'm talking about both. I mean, come on,
Okay,
bro.
well,
Like,
do you know of any nations that don't have a religion, ancient or modern?
do I know of any nations that don't have a religion?
Ancient or modern? I'm talking about any civilization from the beginning of civilization to now.
Yeah, there's plenty.
I'm listening.
What ancient civilizations had religion?
All of them.
Really?
Yeah. As far as terms of recorded human history, yes.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that
Sumerians
every
had
ancient
gods.
civilization had a.
Egyptians had gods. I'm
Mm.
saying I'm giving you the opportunity to
All right.
present
So,
one. I'm not even asking you for a bunch. I'm asking you for just one, and I'm
what
giving
was
you
the
all of human history
what was the
to pick one.
religion of the ancient Cushites?
Okay. Well, they definitely worship gods, but I'm gonna give you the specific name. I love Google. Religion. We
What was
won't
the
use
and also
I'll,
well, since we're talking about the Cushites, you can throw the Tom More Rayans in there too, or the Egyptians. What was their religion?
okay, that's good because it's I got the
Metal.
That's not a religion, brother. Metal
Well, that's
net
what I'm
is a
saying.
religion.
I'm gonna give you whatever anthropological term they give us. Just give me 1 second to get the specific term. But to think that the Cushites didn't worship nobody, I mean, it's ridiculous. But I'll go along with it. Like we'll find the specific name
Well, I
of the
mean,
religion.
Nah,
well,
you good.
let's
Islam.
clarify that
Islam.
even if you
Islam.
find, go ahead,
Well,
brother.
let the brother talk.
Yeah, like I said, you'll see religion almost hit the planet like a phenomenon. You know what I'm saying? If you really want to get back to what the closest thing we can find to the natural people on the planet, if you're gonna say they had, if you want to call a religion, you're gonna get into animism. You know what I mean? Just like we talk about the people in the Americas, and like the tribes that was here that some people try to claim were Moors, which they wasn't, like the Cherokee, like the Yamasee, like the Mayans and all these people. I mean, we can document, and there's still people holding the traditions, and it's animism, it's nature. You know what I'm saying? You'll find the indigenous, if we want to call it a religion across this planet Earth, is animism and ancestral veneration. Closest thing you're gonna get to religion, and you're not gonna find a book that comes with it, or specific instructions from a book or a prophet or anything like that. You know what I mean? You're going to find ancestor veneration and the reverence of nature, and the deities are going to be linked to nature.
And that's not religion. I don't understand. Because all right, so the Kush, their main deity was Amun, right? So they worship many of the same deities as the Egyptian gods. Khonsu, Amun, Horus, whatever have you. A lot of these deities were the same deities. But what you're attempting to do is you're trying to say that this system of them worshiping, having priests, having rituals and customs is not religion. It's something different. And I want you to show how through some secondary source definition, something like that, how is not the same as religion.
Listen, my brother, let's just even go with that, because I'm gonna just get to the chase. Let's say it was religion. It's still wrong, is what I'm saying. You'll have like I said, you'll notice that religion hits a certain time period, man, and it's basically comes from the last 5,000 years of what they call recorded history. It's still wrong.
So you're attributing a moral quality to religion.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Religion is just like any other tool or any other thing.
I think you're breaking up a little, brother. I don't know if that's me or the brother. Can y'all hear him?
Yo, Amir, wherever you at.
Religion in general is effective based on your own. Okay, hold on a second. On y'all end? Anybody can verify if they can hear me?
Islam, but you're breaking up a little bit more.
Is it any better?
Now it is.
Okay. So as I was saying, you're giving a moral quality of religion as if all religions are the same, but you're not substantiating that with nothing. That's like your opinion. It's subjective. You're saying religion is wrong,
All right.
but you're not giving a reason why.
All right. For number one, that science has already disproven religion. Religion, the history of religion, and even just in the now, right now, it goes along with division. So if I was to give you the major things that divide humanity, it's going to be religion, nationality, language, tribalism, political stance. You know what I mean? All these isms and schisms, brother. It's not hard to figure out. But maybe it is because most humans are really under the matrix programming. That's why they tell you, if you ever been in the world, whether in the workplace, don't speak about religion and politics. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that the Morris Science Temple of America, like you brothers are, I'm sure y'all are some good brothers, man, and you believe that you have the truth, right? Just like the Black Hebrew Israelites believe with absolute certainty. Well, not really, subconsciously, they know they're living a lie. Just like the Christians, the Muslims, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and all of them. So it's obvious for a person that's looking from the outland that they're all wrong. Now there's aspects, I'm not saying that everything about religion is bad, like, because there's some people, and including myself, at one point, religion was used as a tool to, maybe bring you to a different place in the evolution of your character or whatever. There's people who got off drugs because they said Jesus did it for them. You know what I mean? Same thing, I know brothers, they, changed their criminal life after they took on the discipline of Islam. So, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is a dividing tool, period. That's why instead of, if you look at every religion, they end up becoming all these branches that end up breaking off. Just like Christianity, that's how you know it's not right and exact. If it was right and exact, there wouldn't be 1,000 different people that's seeing it 1,000 different ways. So now you got Christianity, you got over 10,000 sub-churches. Now we got the Morris Science Temple. Okay, they got the truth. They learned their nationality. No Bar Drew Ali is the holy prophet. He replaces Jesus. It's just Christianity. But now, not only that, we got temple Moors. Well, no, but then we got people say, well, I don't need to be in the temple. Then we got to say, well, we're the true ones who follow Noble Drew Ali. Those are dirty Moors. Just like then we got the Black Hebrew Israelites. Well, we're the original kin. Oh, we're the One West kin. You know what I'm saying? Those are wicked Israelites over there. We got the Muslims. Oh, I'm a Sunni Muslim. I'm a Shia Muslim. Oh, I'm a Sufi Muslim. No, well, Islam is really, so just the very nature of the division of that happens with religions lets you know that it is false. When all everyone has to do is use science, technology, engineering, and math. We don't need Allah, we don't need Yahweh, because we don't need to have a fight over Allah and Yahweh. And we don't need Jesus and all them other people, you know what I'm saying? Because in today's world, in 2020, the world has moved forward. And most of these things have been totally made to look ridiculous by science anyway. So you show me how nationality and religion has united humanity. To me, it's pretty simple. You look at what you have on the table mathematically. All right, it's me and you, and it's you on that side, I'm on this side. The thing in the middle is dividing us. The thing in the middle is religion. The thing in the middle is politics. The thing in the middle is classism. The thing in the middle. So what do you do in order to get rid of that barrier, that partition, to break down that wall of separation? Get rid of it. Now we don't have nothing to argue about. Everything that we thought that we needed to argue about is not even a factor at this point in time. So if we look at our people, if we look at so-called African Americans, Black people, now we got what some people call the conscious community, whether people like to admit they're a part of it or not. And in that conscious community of people that say they woke, we have different groups, which is stupid, which is why they got to come under the leadership of Nimrod. One people, one language, one tower. You got But see, what they'll say is they'll fake each other out. Like, yeah, we're all together, man. We trying to, even though we got different beliefs, we working toward the same. No, it don't work like that. Two can't walk unless they agree. The Moorish Science Temple and the Comedics and the Black Hebrews and the Black Panthers are never going to really walk together in singularity. They might have a meeting, a tea party, where they greet each other and say, yeah, you know, at the end of the day, man, we all one. But they're not organizing together. Their money is not put together. Their energy is not really unified in the sense that it is centralized.
Yo, peace, brother Lex.
So
Peace,
hold on
brother
one
Lex.
second, brother. Let me just wrap this up. You'll see this happen with even with the Catholic Church. That's why they did what they did, because they understood that we're gonna get rid of all the heresies, these Gnostics and these other people that's causing confusion in Christianity, and we're going to centralize that joint, man. You know what I'm saying? And so this is even what happened in the history of why the Moors got their ass kicked when the Muslims were taxing America, taxing them on the seas. The Europeans were fighting each other, the French, the Spanish, and all that. And what did they do? They got smart. And that's when Europeans united. And when Europeans united, that was the end of the Moors. But before that, they was fighting each other over all type of skirmishes. Actually, that's what happened in Moorish Spain, according to Ivan van Sertima. Even under the Muslim Empire, they started getting fractional and having little inner beefs. So what I'm saying is, and I don't want to be too long-winded, is I'm not, the reason why I attack religion is not because I think the person that's practicing it are bad people. I think that at this point in time of where our people are, we have to evolve past all of that. It's old, it's ancient, it's not even relevant for 2020, and it is divisive, and it is an illusion, because at the end of the day, no one is born with this label that says you are this and you are that. Because our true identity, when you heard the ancient mantra, know thyself, it was not referring to the flesh. So what is your identity? It has nothing to do with your body. It is Allah, as you would say.
Yeah, Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, that's in our degrees though. More like when you read the third when you open our book up, the third page says, "Know thyself and thy Father God Allah," and we talk about a higher self and a lower self. So we understand that the higher self is for us to attain deific life, as mentioned in our Moorish Quran, but we cannot neglect the the this plane that we exist on. Just because we know that the higher self is Allah and man, that don't mean that we still cannot be good sons to our mothers, good fathers to our children, and good to humanity, because we know that we're spirit beings. So we know that we have to be able to navigate on both planes. But we know that the Allah within inside self is the ultimate reality, and that's what we want to, achieve to achieve that deific life. But we cannot neglect the world that we're in, and because the world that we're in today, so-called blacks at the bottom of the social, economical, and the nationalistic level of humanity. So, by us restoring ourselves back to our identity on this plane of existence as being Moors, it brings about the balance. But we understand that the inner self, which is Allah and man, is the ultimate goal that we have to, achieve. But we can't neglect this world that we're in. We're dealing with the balance. So when you study Buddha, because we as Moors, we honor Buddha, and we know that Buddha, he was ascetic. You know what I'm saying? He was dealing in practices that was very taking him out of this material world, and he realized that he had to find something called the middle way. And that's what we dealing with the middle way. We understand that we're spirit beings, but we dealing with the middle way. We understand that we can't neglect the world that we're in today. And that's our stance. And if one of y'all wants to give me the Quran where it talks about man God today is not his God tomorrow, anybody could get that verse for me quick fast? Muhammad, you got that?
Real quick, can I ask you, because I'm hearing, so just to clear up this nationality thing, because I asked the brother, I had a conversation with another brother the other weekend. What is a Moor? What makes you a Moor?
Yeah, say it again. I'm sorry, somebody was talking.
What makes you a Moor?
He said, "What make you more?"
Oh, it's a political identity.
Okay, it's a political identity. Because I mean, the person I spoke to last weekend told me that anybody with melanin was a Moor.
Well, later down the line, the term Moor began to be anyone with dark skin. Later down the line, but it was a political identity. When you start dealing with the people called the Grimaldis and so forth that inhabit certain regions in the west part of Africa, then later on they adopted this term called Moor, which was a Phoenician Canaanite term, that means Westerner, which was a geographical jurisdiction. And when that geographical jurisdiction began to spread, forming an empire, the people who formed that empire politically was identified as being Moors, which means Westerner. Then later on, it became to mean someone with dark skin.
Okay, so is everybody with dark skin is not a Moor, correct?
You know, everybody with dark skin could be classified as a. See, a Moor is not dealing with skin hue because, particularly in its conception, because you have what they call tawny Moors, what they call so-called Negro Moors. So you have Moors that have light skin, if you want to say, and do you have more that have dark skin? When you're dealing with nationality, it's not really identified by someone's complexion because the nationality, everybody has different hues.
Are there European Moors?
Wait,
No, you
it's
can't.
Islam a second, Zion Lex, because you kind of made, one thing I wanted to exercise in this conversation. I wanted to be a conversation and exercise a little brevity. You said a lot of things, and now you're asking a lot of questions without affording us the opportunity to address the things that the claims that you made. I had asked you to point out a nation in history, ancient or modern, that did not have a religion. You were not able to do that. And so then you went on a narrative to attack the necessity of religion.
Well,
And you said
I
because we
did
were
do that
race.
though. I mean, I showed even here in the Americas that these people did not have a religion. The
No, you
Cherokee
didn't.
didn't have
You
a
didn't do that.
religion.
Islam.
Islam, Sheikh.
Yeah.
Islam. My phone was breaking up, but I wanted to say something because you mentioned science, you mentioned anthropology. When you look at the reason of the Horn of Africa at that time, what was being worshipped was known as Netzaru, gods or goddesses. You get this from the language of the Medu Netta. What that was known, anthropology is called henotheism, which is the worship of many gods with there being a chief god above that. That's what we now call today religion, which comes from the Latin religare, which means to bind together. What bind families together is the culture. This is evident even within the system because it comes from a father, then it breaks off to other subfamilies because nations are made of subfamilies. Islam.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. When you look at the stories of the Netzaru, it's the same story. These gods they came upon human beings. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking the Netzaru are your enemies. The
Islam.
Anunnaki are your enemies. The Nomo are your enemies. Quetzalcoatl are your enemies. Allah, Yahweh, the Elohim, whatever you want to call it, just because you can show me, oh, hey, and that's the point. They have been ruling whatever this class of, I believe it's some alien type stuff, but I don't really get into there. But whatever these class of people could just be a group of humans that think they're better. They're hiding behind these names, and people have been under the influence of the gods. That's why you have also the mythos of the humans trying to break free from the gods. Just like the mythos of Prometheus to steal fire from the gods and give it to the humans. Because there were people aware in secret sides and that knew that humans were under some type of enslavement from an alien force. So I don't give a damn about the Netzaru. When you go the Netzaru, and you notice when you look at this concept of gods, it's always humans
Yeah.
at the servant level.
Yeah,
And
that.
that's
Yeah,
why they're
but
feeding.
see,
And not only
but
that, one more thing, the
But,
priest,
Well, hold on,
that
wait.
intermediaries. But
Hold
go
on one
ahead,
second,
brother.
brother. Hold on one
but
second, brother.
let me say something.
Your assertion is it's
Hmm.
long.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like that.
That's what I'm
That
saying.
stuff you talk about.
Hold on. This got to be a discussion. We can't. Hold on, Gracie. I'm gonna give the. We got to have a civil discussion. So you can't talk, 8 minutes and then a brother get 30 seconds. Like we're not getting anywhere in this discussion. We're getting your narrative, but we're not getting to even challenge your narrative. And you're not even challenging ours because we don't worship multiple gods. We don't practice animal sacrifice. The things that you're saying does not relate to our particular
Organization, nationality.
position. So
Hmm.
in order
Well, it's
for this
related to
to hear from you,
nationality,
which
though,
is
brother.
nationality.
It's not
I
related.
get it, but
It's not
we
had
gotta
nothing to do
talk
with
about the
us.
nationality.
Like,
Yeah.
let me say something. Yo, can we get the Moorish Quran chapter 10, verse 20 to 27? Because what he's saying don't have nothing to do with us at all.
it's long.
Why?
Like,
If it don't, why would we
but,
have to
but,
go to a
but
book,
listen to,
brother?
because I'm just showing you that what you saying, it don't have nothing to do with our particular, ideology.
Then
Like,
who is Allah? Who's
just wait.
Allah then?
We'll get to that in a minute. Let's get to this though. Read what that say
Well, I
more.
mean, that's the whole
Just
What's
thing.
wait
the
one,
what's the instruction?
Because
one
we
second.
can.
The Holy Quran chapter, Moorish Quran chapter 10, verse 20 to 27.
It's long. When men are afraid of Allah and take him for a foe, they dress up other men in fancy garbs and call them priests, and charge them and restrain the wrath of Allah by prayers. And when they fail to win his favor by their prayers, to buy him off with sacrifice of animals or birds, when man sees Allah as one with him, as the Father, he needs no middleman, no priest to intercede. Islam.
So we don't deal with none of that. We don't need a middleman or priest to intercede.
Hmm.
We deal with Allah within ourselves. So what you talking about don't have nothing to do with the Moorish paradigm. You dealing with our spirituality. Like we don't deal with
Okay.
middlemen. We don't deal with priests. We go to Allah ourselves because we see Allah within ourselves. Our
Okay.
question, our question there says, who made you Allah? Which name you can meet him in the heart. So we don't
Hold on.
look at it. We're
Who
not looking
made
for.
you?
We're
You
not
said.
looking. We're not looking for Allah outside ourselves.
All right. So then that's what I'm saying. Then who is Allah then? If it is
That's
ourselves,
the second question. He gave you the first question in Moore's Quran, which is who made you Allah? The second question on Quran questionnaires for Moore's children is who was Allah? Allah is the father of the universe. So this is the supreme grand architect who created the universe. Our particular nation of people refer to him as Allah, but Allah has many names depending on what nation you come from. Your descendant nature, you are reference Allah as the supreme creator, the supreme being under a different name. Even modern
And
science cannot explain the creation of the universe. So
yes, they can, but that's a different subject.
let's not go there right now.
Yeah,
let's just say
But wait,
but
look,
I
wait.
just want to get
Let
clarity.
me no, let me
Islam.
let me just finish. Muhammad, can you get the part in the Quran that says that man God today, not God tomorrow?
It's long. Here we go. I want to read 16 and 19 because it encompasses everything that we're talking about, and this is the point that's wanted to be made. It's chapter 10, 16 and 19. A man's ideal is his God, and so as man unfolds, his God unfolds. Man today, God, tomorrow is not God. The nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view, and so he does not seem the same to everyone. Man names the part of Allah he sees, and to him is all of Allah. And every nation sees a part of Allah, and every nation has a name for Allah. You Brahmins call him Parabrahma. In Egypt, he is Thoth. And in Zeus is his name in Greece. Jehovah is his Hebrew name. But everywhere he is the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown. Islam.
So this is our perspective. So the things you're talking about got nothing to do with what we taught in our lessons.
Okay, okay. Like I said, so y'all don't subscribe to the commercial Quran that goes around the world, right?
No, we deal with the Quran of Mecca.
All
But
right,
this is the
because
this is
that
the this
Quran says submit to Allah. Says Allah is your master.
will show me that.
In the Quran, where it says
Yeah,
submit to Allah.
yeah, just show me that.
All right, brother. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
Because
I used to be a Muslim, bro, too,
word
for
the word
years.
Muslim does not mean submit to Allah because it means one of peace.
I know the word Muslim means one apiece. You can find the
Okay,
same three main letters in the word peace in Islam. But
okay, so that's
the
what we.
Quran is telling you to worship and submit to Allah, brother. Come on, there is
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
but we just
So,
spent the man God today, not God tomorrow. Those see Allah differently. We, the Moorish Americans, see Allah as Allah within ourselves.
all right, so that's what I'm saying. And if I was to take you to Arabia and they would want to cut your head off, plain and simple.
They're
They
not
That gets
follow
following.
the
back to
same religion,
religion.
man.
They're not following Islam in its pristine purity. They following Wahhabianism.
Exactly.
They're following you know, worshiping of Muhammad and these different things.
And
But
y'all
our
worship
prophet,
Noble Jew Ali. That's what I'm saying, bro.
no,
Like,
we don't worship Noble Drew Ali. We
man,
don't
a
worship
sister
Noble Drew.
told me the other day that eventually Noble Drew Ali will come visit you,
Well, that's not
give
us.
you.
You're not saying that. I'm not
All
saying
right,
that you.
so
I'm not saying you can't visit people on different planes, like different entities on different planes. Maybe she's talking about that. You know, you can have dreams of somebody. Maybe she's talking about that, but
right, where did Noble Drew Ali come from, brother?
we're not
Like,
waiting for
who
we're not
sent him?
waiting we're not waiting for Drew Ali to
Was
come
he
back.
not sent by Allah?
When we say like you sent by Allah, I mean that you could come to a understanding. Like today, you got your understanding of you dealing with you said the Nimrod and things. That's the concept that came to you within your thought. That
Yeah.
thought is Allah. That thought is the manifestation of Allah. So you could say, well, God sent me to bring the people back together under Nimrod. Under that thought, we're not saying no mystery spook sent Drew Ali. Whoever information he came in contact with, it gave him the inspiration to want to teach our people that we were Moors and teach it Allah within ourselves.
Right. So there's nothing special about Noble Drew Ali then. That could have been anybody.
Well, nobody's better. There's no big guys and little U's. He just was the one that had the idea to bring us our nationality and birthright. But we all could become prophets and angels and different things in our own light.
Right. So there's nothing special about Noble Drew Ali then.
He's not greater than me, and I'm not greater than him. Like just like you're not greater than me, I'm not greater than you. But he was the one that came into the particular information, and he the one that began to teach us our nationality and birthright. But I'm
All
not gonna
right.
put another man better than make him greater than who I am. That we don't
I
worship man.
got you. I mean, you brothers definitely have some deeper understanding than surface religion. You know what I mean? And I knew that would be the case. You know what I mean? So there's not much where I can say like you guys are not ignorant. You know what I'm saying? I know that you're not just like regular sheep. The Moors that I come across. I just think it's time to go to the next level and drop all the rest of the weight. But
Yeah, we gotta.
but at the end of the day, here's the question that I want you can answer simply. Show me where nationality benefits humanity and where it has not been a center of war and division.
All right, I'm gonna let the
What you think?
wait.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna let Muhammad Sheikh Muhammad or Sheikh Amir deal with this. I just want to have Muhammad because you said something that's very interesting, and I want to have Muhammad read the Morris Quran chapter 8 verse 24.
Mm.
While you getting that, Sheikh Muhammad, I say I guess we'll split it up 2 minutes.
Islam.
Let's get this now. Then y'all could deal with that.
Islam. This is chapter 8, verse 24. I'm your brother, man. Just come to show the way to Allah. You shall not worship man. Praise Allah, the Holy One. Islam.
So we're not worshiping no man at all. You know what I'm saying? Just because Jolly came to show us the Holy One, he came to point us in that direction, but we're not here to worship him. We don't do that. We don't worship any man. That's in our lesson. So a lot of things you're saying has nothing to do with the more sonship of America, what Noble Drew Ali has taught us. With that, I'm gonna end on that note, and Sheikh Amir and Sheikh Muhammad Bey and L, they could deal with the topic you asking about.
Okay.
Yeah, Sheikh Muhammad, you could go first or second, whichever one you want to go. I just want to say let's keep it concise because we already past the 2 o'clock point. Want to open the floor for any questions, the commentary at some point. So we're gonna. And he may want to respond, so we want to be able to afford that time so we can wrap up this discussion in this meeting. Islam. So
I think it would be best if you go first. I've spoken already on the topic. You can go first, let him respond, and then we can just go back and forth, vice versa.
Well, yeah, if you have anything you want to add at the end of what I say, then please chime in, and then we'll give the floor to brother Zion. I'm sorry, not Zion, Lex Vortex. Sorry, y'all both got the Lex in y'all name. So could you repeat your question one more time? So I don't want to talk around what you were asking. I want to be specific. Yeah.
How is nationality beneficial for humanity when nationality is the reason for all division and war?
Okay. So firstly, I'm going to answer the second question first. Nationality is not the reason for all war. There are various different reasons for war. Religion may be one, as you pointed out, but race could be an issue. Like obviously there was racial wars. Like there have been racial conflicts in the United States of America throughout this history, but throughout the global history when you go into the Moorish history. So there are other things that human beings fight over, resources. No, not necessarily, because
hold on,
European nations, they from different nations.
Islam. We have a short amount of time. So please let the brother speak. We're not going to let no one speak no more than 2 minutes. So we answer, but while one is speaking, the other one will be silent and listening, and vice versa.
Gotcha, brother.
That is first.
Yeah, you got my word. I'm gonna be concise. I'm answering specifically what you asked. But you just asked another question. The European nations, you had made a statement that Europe, they were fighting before, right? And it wasn't over religion at that time. It was over tribalism, as you said. Then they formed nations, right? And what was the unifying factor for them? It was religion. Under Christianity, they were fighting the Moors who unified the Northern African states that were subject to Christian rule for several centuries, almost 1,000 years. What unified them? Muhammad came along. It was Islam that unified the North African states that defeated the Europeans, that gave us 800 years in Europe of flourishing and what have you. So that's what happened in terms of that. You can respond if you like later. But to your first question, how does nationality benefit people or humanity? You have to understand, humanity in its inception was chaos. We were living in the wilderness. There was no helping one another. People were fighting over whatever they were fighting over, and they were just fighting for survival in general. What brought about civilization was social organization. People started to band together, and they were more successful in hunting and providing for the common welfare. They formed themselves families. From families, they formed tribes. From tribes, they formed nations. So civilization itself, the reason why your mother could go to the grocery store and you okay with her out of your sight, or your daughter or your sister, without her getting beat in the head,
you breaking up, my man. You're breaking up.
And violated, is because civilization came about. Civilization came about through nationality. Nationality produced an agreement to which that we. Yeah. I can't. I'm outside, so I don't know how I could get any better.
Okay, all right.
But I don't know how much y'all caught.
Nah, we got you now. Cool.
We organized. You can hear me now? Okay. So social organization occurred. Nations formed. The laws formed, and that's how we are able to trade and live in security and safety and have a system of exchange and all of the benefits that we have. When you get sick and you go to the hospital and the doctor and you ain't got no health insurance and you still get taken care of, all of that is through social organization. All that is through nationality. All human beings have been doing it. Every nation that you could reference when you condemn a religion, they all their prosperity and everything that they have was attributed to nationality. So yes, is there negative aspects of nationality? Yes, there are. But would you rather be living in a wilderness with no paved roads, no indoor plumbing, no law enforcement, no medical care, and just having to fend for yourself? You know what I'm saying? Because eventually you're going to be you're born a child and you're vulnerable, and you're elderly and you're vulnerable. And civilization protects those and your women. And with that, I'm gonna end on that.
Yeah, I mean, I hear the programming. I mean, I disagree that man was in some savage-like state. It's actually, I truly believe before the invasion of the gods, actually, that man was peaceful. Actually, I mean, they even give you that code in their religious stories where they tell you that man was in the Garden of Eden before the invasion of these gods came or whatever. So I don't even believe men used to men and women in their natural state on this earth, it was a heaven. People, we didn't have to worry about that because it wasn't even an inclination. That's why you have these religious stories that tell you about the fall of man. You see what I'm saying? So if man fell, and we know that has different connotations because you could be talking about falling from the metaphysical to the physical also, but the fall of man, you know what I'm saying? So man in his original state don't even have to worry about that. That's why it tells you the law is for criminals, even in the New Testament. The law is for the transgressors, yo. And part of those laws wasn't even given to the so-called original man. It was given to savages. So I don't think we really had those problems. I think the programming now, yeah, people think that it's always been like this. But I think when people lived naturally before the invasion of these aliens, of the Yahwehs and the Allahs and the Anunnaki and the Elohims and the Quetzalcoatls and whatever these space rats are, I think humanity was fine. And then that's when the beginning greed and all these other things were introduced, and separation, and out of greed and lust and want, people started separating. You know what I mean? So I believe that, you know, in man's original state, my mother would be perfectly safe because I believe that man is naturally in his right mind. There's a reason mankind is out of their mind. This point, I don't think that's the natural state. We're living unnaturally. So yeah, I would rather be living in nature with without all of this stuff because I wouldn't need a hospital because the ancients didn't have them because they didn't need them because they ate right because you know why? Because they loved nature. The earth was their god. It was the mother that fed them, that nourished them. So that's the thing that they honored, not Allah, Yahweh, and none of that stuff that didn't provide them any real substance. It was the river that provided that. It was the trees that provided the clothes and the fruit, and the sun that provided the light, you know what I'm saying, and all of that. So I don't, you know, what you're saying, I hear you today, you can make that argument like, you know, you're talking about the matrix. You're talking about an artificial existence. Of course, I'd rather be in nature. And no, there was no police and there was no prisons, bro. You're becoming agents of the matrix. And when what they're telling us is we need these things, you know, we really believe that these things are civilized. But the water's poison now, you know, we have a prison system with human beings locked up. There's wars going on. People are fighting over paper money. People are claiming property, land as if it belongs to them. I don't believe in the ancient times before these space rats came to this planet, anyone would think about having a piece of paper that says, I own the earth. This part of the earth is mine. So it's totally backwards to me. So when people forming nationalities to get to the point where we have all of this, what do you have? Death and disease and mayhem, my brother. Get back to the Mother Earth, man. Get back to nature. Get rid of the artificial systems. Who wrote this? Like, I hear people, international law, you know, treaties, you know, what is that? That's artificial. It's all artificial. So, and through that artificialness, we see things declining. And so, you know, the human genome has been manipulated. The human mind is sick. That's why we got to worry about going outside and that's not the natural state of man, bro. Man fell in every one of your religious stories. So that's how I would answer that, bro. Now, still nationality plays no part in it. That's just like the same thing. You got the Bloods and the Crips, man. If you take the colors off, what are they? You can't tell a distinction. The way they distinguish them to go kill their own brothers or enemies from a color. And I know, and that's just low level, you know what I'm saying? But it's the color. Color would be you know, like equal to nationality. So there's no difference between the Bloods and the Crips. They're both the same people, but they choosing a flag. They literally say raise a flag. You know what I'm saying? Just like nations have a flag. When America, that's why you wonder why the world can watch other people die. because they're disconnected. You wonder why white people can watch black people get shot in the street because they feel like, it's not my team. It's not my team. I mean, let them deal with their own problems. It's a competition on the planet. That's what, it's no different from being a basketball team or football. Oh, that's the Moors, that's the Chinese, that's the Asian. That you look at the continent of Africa, they all carrying flags. That's why they getting their ass kicked. They don't even have their borders open to each other. You know that?
Peace, brother. Watch your language during the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I cuss? What did I say?
I'm sorry. I meant to mention that to you earlier. That might have been the second or the third profane word, but yeah, we try to.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't even notice. I'm sorry, man. I didn't even notice I did. But like I was saying, I apologize. You look at, like, as I'm saying, you look at the
you're an intelligent brother. I know you could. We talk, you know what I mean? But right, good.
All right. So, like I said, you look at the continent of Africa. What are they waving? Flags, and that's why they're in the condition they're in. They can't. Their borders are closed. They have the earth closed. They're living unnaturally. Then people want to get into the law. The law is stupid, bro, for human beings. I got to get a passport and this and that and follow law to even travel on the earth. This is nonsense. This is crazy. They have do this matrix, bro. We're paying for water. That's what your nationality brings in your systems of control. I mean, that is insane. That alone is enough for humanity should be rioting. You're paying for the basic necessities of life that the earth has given everyone through this artificial matrix, through these laws. It's not the laws of nature, and nobody has a label. When you see another human being, you see God, period. And then they're able to manipulate, just like when Moors talk about Negroes, blacks, and colors or whatever, and these false classes. It's no different. Those classifications is what the matrix is ran on. That's how they're able to practice control and racism. You go fill out an application. Why do they want to classify you? To control people, to put people in, to say, well, the Africans, they're doing this, they're scoring 90% on the test. The Italians are scoring 80%. Oh yeah, the Chinese are the smartest. Instead of just seeing that as one human phenomenon. Oh yeah, well, the Arabs got all the oil that the Americans need. Instead of just seeing this is just the need of human beings, bro. So, I mean, there's no way to get around that. Nationality is one of the most evil things that has ever hit the planet. That's why people are disconnected from other people. And that includes tribalism. Because I know if anybody, I mean, you even you see tribalism in the hoods. No one cares. That's not my team. Yeah, hey, he died, he got shot. It's not my team. It's not my people. No one, why you think people didn't care about what they did to our people? One was religion. They did, because the Pope, hey, you can enslave heathens anyway, they're heathens. And another was, it's not my team. They benefit what I'm trying to do. Free labor, hey, tough titty. It's not my team. They're not waving my flag. And so there's no way you can convince me that men will ever, ever have peace as long as they're waving flags. Flags are for gangs. And if you got a flag, you're going to be gang banging, brothers and sisters. Get free, man. I'm Nimrod, the double master teacher of this day and time, here to rebuild the Tower of Babel. One mind, one language, one people. That's the only way, and this is actually the evolution that humanity's supposed to reach. This is the only way we're going to make it to the next dimension.
2 minutes
is to get rid of borders and nationality. New world order, globalization.
Yeah. Peace, brother, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Read number 15 in the 101s, because the most of the wasn't really organized for causing division, according to the founder. I could read it, a matter of fact. It said, with the purpose the Most High temple for the liftment of fallen humanity. You know what I'm saying? It's for humanity. That was our purpose. And there's a, who got the verse in the Quran, Morris Quran, talking about every man is bonded to every man is bonded to every living cord. Muhammad, you know where that's at?
Islam, yes, it's in the first chapter. Give me 1 second.
Because you was talking about like division and stuff like that, and like what you, some of the things you're saying we don't disagree with, but that's not like what we dealing with as more as Americans, students of Noble Drew Ali.
Yeah, I see two guys have some enlightened points of views. It's just that these space rats are real tricky, bro.
You got that, man?
Go ahead.
Islam, give me 1 more second.
Like
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Sheikh Muhammad. I had put in the chat, but also could you look for that verse about
Yeah, we don't hear you.
Yeah, I already got the verse that you was talking about. I guess let Muhammad look up that other one. You want me to read the one that you wanted?
Yeah, let me get that, Sheikh Sadiq.
The one that Sheikh Amir wanted.
Okay. Maybe wait till after, so the Grand Sheikh can make his point. Maybe wait till after Muhammad get it. He's gonna find it. It's in the. He already know what chapter it's in.
Muhammad don't got
please bear
it.
with us.
Well,
No,
can
Muhammad
I say this while he's finding that?
If Muhammad don't got it, Sheikh Sadiq, you could go.
No, I'm talking about. I had the one that Sheikh Amir wanted before. About.
Nah, he knows.
Oh, okay. You want from the top?
Go ahead and read that first. You just read the part that's pertaining to that. You know what parts pertaining to nature.
All right. Just out of chapter 35, talking about religion. The sun is not Allah, though his noblest image. He enlightened the world with his brightness. He won't give it light to the products of the earth. Admire him as the creature, the instrument of Allah, but worship him not. To the one who is supreme, most wise, most beneficent, and him alone belong worship, adoration, thanks, and giving praise. Islam?
Wow.
Yes. So
the sun is not Allah?
It's not Allah. So
Wow.
you asked us who is Allah. You asked us who is Allah. What is Allah? Who is Allah? Something to that effect. We told you that Allah is the Father of the universe, that Allah is the creator of all things. So how is Allah the sun? And we're saying Allah not only created the sun, but all matter in the universe. All things in creation are Allah. You said yourself that man is Allah. So how can man be Allah and worship the sun and the sun is Allah? It doesn't make any sense. So that level of understanding for us is primitive, and that's early man. Early man worship rocks. Early man worship rivers. Early man worship animals. Early man worship trees, and we see them as noble images of the Creator, the beauty that the Creator bestowed upon us.
Now we get into the core of the matter.
That's our understanding.
Exactly.
Right? So the sun is so you talked about. You also said. Which is funny. You mentioned.
I want to deal with what you're saying now.
Well, hang on, brother. Hang on, because we were very gracious in terms of just giving you the floor.
No, I was just saying continuing, but I'm just saying I want to come back to that point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I got you. So I'm just going to make 2 or 3 points off of what you said. You said, the blood. You mentioned the Bloods and Crips and their flags, but you negated to mention how they originated. They originated because other groups of people were oppressing them, i.e., the European police. And European groups that were formed for our oppression. So the gangs originally were created for our protection. They were just walked. Now, I know you are intelligent, brother. You know about COINTELPRO. So other groups of people decided to infiltrate our groups and put us against each other. You said
absolutely.
You said like one, like it should be one mind, one language, the Tower of Babel. That's exactly what the New World Order is. That's exactly what the powers that be are trying to do.
Exactly
what they want. So you should be with them. Next thing you said, about all these things in nature. Why are you not in nature? Because you're speaking a language that comes from civilization. You're using technology. You're on a Zoom right now. You have social media. You've been on YouTube for many years. I've been watching you for many years. So you're using technology. You reference math and science. Guess where that comes from? Civilization, nationality. You can trace what nations brought about what advents or inventions or contributions to humanity, right? So all these things. So why are you not in the wilderness somewhere without no Wi-Fi in a hut that you built, hunting and gathering? Why are you
Come
eating
on, bro.
food that you bought from the supermarket that come through nationality, wearing a fitted hat and a t-shirt and on some computer device? Like how does that work?
Okay.
So you talk about division, but humanity was never all one. Social organization didn't occur that way. So you say you don't care about the police. What happens when you have a daughter and she's 3 years old and a grown man is attracted to her? You're going to resort to violence because you don't want that man to touch your daughter. So there's conflict right there. You don't even need language. So if we suspended the idea of language and communicating thoughts to one another, which also comes from civilization, which also comes from nationality, our ability to express our thoughts in ways that other creatures on the earth cannot, even if we suspend that idea, there will be instances where you yourself, who you're professed to be some spiritual leader at this time, you yourself will resort to violence under certain conditions, and that's what the law is existence to prevent. Is to promote the peace and tranquility amongst the people, so you won't have to fight because it's against the law for you to take my daughter. So if you tried, the entire society will go against you, and whatever harm you cause to that man would be just. Justice is a principle that comes out of civilization. You can't get justice if you don't got no civilization. How you unless you can get revenge, you can get revenge, but justice comes through civilization. How is it justice? Because they broke a law, and that means they deserve to be punished because we have the social contract in place. You make it seem like it's not human nature to murder. It's not human nature to kill. It's not human nature to steal. But it teaches us that man has two selves. You talk about the spiritual self. Man has a higher self and a lower self. From our understanding, the higher self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. That's our spirit. But our carnal self is our lower self, our physical self, breeds murder, lewdness, theft, everything that harms.
Right.
So what will make me kill you? What will make me kill you over food? Because I'm starving. My body is compelling me to take your food. And if you get in the way, I must do harm to you to make sure that I eat. Civilization presents that from happening because now you have a trade system. You can work, you can earn your keep so that you can eat, so you don't need to steal from another person. So I guess I've been kind of long-winded, but you know what I'm saying? I haven't got to rebut a lot of your points because we weren't having a discussion. We would make our points very quickly, and then we would let you go on your narrative. But so I wanted to address all of that. Muhammad, did you ever find that verse before we turn the floor over to Lex? And after this, I guess we'll present the question and answer. So those who are listening, if y'all want to ask Brother Lex some questions, and you'll have the opportunity to do that momentarily. Sheikh Muhammad, did you find that verse?
No, not as yet.
All right, so
Yeah,
we'll just turn the floor
I
over
think
to
I think it's when John the Baptist's mother was passing away.
I think that's chapter 2 then.
Islam.
Can you
Nah,
suck
it's
my
4.
dick hard, Daddy?
It's,
Uh,
it's chapter 4.
Okay, I'm
can
gonna
you
have to hold
suck
on.
my
I
dick?
gotta mute the mic for a second.
Niggers.
Bear with me, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nigger.
All right, let's find this guy. Okay, this is this iPhone guy right here. Hold on, let me just. Okay, I hope that was the right guy, but we're recording this, so we don't use any profanity here. Not that a European can't be in our meeting.
You
But,
kicked the wrong guy, you dumbass. You kicked the iPhone pussy.
Wrong person. Oh man, pardon me, y'all. I'm sorry.
Thomas. It's Thomas Hedon.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Okay.
Niggers. Cops kill you, niggers.
Bye-bye, Thomas. Bye-bye, Thomas. Okay, I'm sorry.
Man.
Anyone find that verse?
Islam, but the one he's talking about is chapter 4.
Okay.
The death and burial. But anyway, let me just get to it. Verse 3. Death is no enemy of man. It is a friend who, when the work of life is done, just cuts the cord that binds the human boat to earth, that it may sail on smoother seas. Islam?
Was that what you were looking for, Grand Sheik?
Grand Sheik's muted.
Y'all still there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
I actually have one more thing that I want to go into. So I'm gonna ask them more. We'll give you 7 minutes because 7 is a divine number to us. So we'll give you 7 minutes after I cover this. I want to go into our Moorish Quran and see these lessons are for us to get our houses in order. Okay, so religion, just like a gun could be used as a weapon to protect yourself. Religion could be used or it could be used. A gun could be used as a weapon of murder and to take someone's life unjustly. Religion could be used to uplift or could be used negatively, especially when it's mixed with politics. But I'm looking for this particular chapter that I want to read, which is called the social duties. Matter of fact, can I get one of the sheiks to read that? Islam sheik, could you read that? And I'll stop you to comment. But it's only 7 verses, so please bear with us.
Islam, holy instruction from the Prophet, social duties. When you consider your wants, when you behold your imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored you with humanity, endowed you with speech, and placed you in society to receive and confer reciprocal help and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, your enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All these you owe to the assistance of others and could not enjoy but in the hands of society.
Well, stop right there. So in the bands of society, so all the things that I was saying to the brother about all of the stuff that he has and all the things that like him going through a public education system to be able to read all the books to break down the information that he's breaking down, that all comes from that he can only enjoy but in the bands of society. If he was born in the wilderness and without anything that contributed from civilization, he wouldn't even have language, let alone the understanding of how to treat his sick. He said there was no such thing as a hospitals back then, but the father of medicine is who? Imhotep. So we have ancient stuff like that. It's all through the bands of society and the mutual obligations. That doctor's obligation to help you and your obligation to pay him. Protection from injuries, from assault, from murder, and rape and all of the things that people could do to harm you. These are all reciprocated through the bands of society. Continue, Sheik.
It is your duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, and it is your interest that man should be friendly to you. As the rose breathes sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produces good works. He enjoyed the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiced in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He opened not his ear unto slander. The faults and the failings of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good, and he research out the occasion thereof in removing the oppression of another. He believed in himself.
Right there. So these things that he's saying these are the principles of our nation, the Moorish nation. Okay, these are the lessons that we teach to each other, that we understand that the benefits that we get from society, it is our duty to be a friend to mankind, not an enemy. So we're not looking to war with other nations over their religious beliefs or any of the things of that nature, right? And for us to be benevolent men, to produce good works, and that we will be at peace with happiness and prosperity of our neighbors. We don't want to hear slander. We don't want to talk about negativity about other people. These are our principles. When you talk about religion, you're talking broadly. These are the principles of Moorish American Muslims. So you can't talk about Ahmadiyya or Sunni Muslims or any other type of Muslims. Our religion is Islamism. It's not Islam. Islam meaning a specific doctrine. So it's our desire to do good. And we look for ways to do good among humanity. And we seek to remove oppression of another, and that relieves us. When we see that others around us are not oppressed, we're relieved. So you continue on to the last verse, Mo. The first verse was the main one I wanted you to get the understanding of, which was all the comforts and stuff of society that you get, that you have a duty, and that's the social contract that I was talking about. So you can go on to the last verse, Sheik.
From the largeness of his mind, he comprehend in his wishes the happiness of all men. And from the generosity of his heart, he endeavors to promote it. Islam.
So we promote it. So the brother, so to finish up, the brother Zion Lex, he understands something. I know he knows the seven Hermetic principles.
Like
His
Lex Vortex.
like, I'm sorry, I keep saying brother Zion Lex. Brother Zion Lex, I apologize to even bring your name up. You a brother that whenever I hear Lex, obviously we share the faith in terms of the Abrahamic religion and the bond over the 613 commandments. So that word Lex is associated with that brother, and I apologize to you, brother Lex Vortex, for confusing your name, because you're a brother that I've known about equally as long as I said. I've been watching you for years. You saw on the TV and other platforms. So he understands the seven Hermetic principles, and he understands that there's duality to all things. So his argument against nationality is he points out all the negatives. Well, he doesn't negate the positive that I say about the band society and all of the benefits that human beings have of living in society. But his argument is, because these negatives exist, let's throw it all away. Let's throw out the baby with the bathwater. When there's duality to all things. In our nation, as he said, we endeavor to promote it. We endeavor to promote positivity, goodwill towards one another, and that is through our religion that he's condemning. So, but he's not condemning our religion. He's condemning all religions without taking a close look at our specific religion, and he came unprepared as a result. And I'm gonna yield the floor to the brother now. The time now is 2:38. The brother has 7 minutes, so we'll give him a little grace since I'm talking in 2:38. We'll give him 7 minutes from this time. As long, brother Lex, you have the floor. To 2:46.
Yeah, man, it may not even take that long, but you know, this reminds me of the island of Dr. Moreau, man. It's amazing the level that they brought us to. Where I remember I was watching that movie, because I was actually a Moor who referred to me that movie some years ago, when you know how people talk about the Yakub story, and people creating, Dr. Moreau created all these hybrid, ape-like men. And he used to go, he had like the book of the law that they had to find. I remember he had a little device in him that he would hit, and it would electrocute them when they wasn't listening. You know what I mean? He was kind of like God, and they had a law. And I remember they used to say, "What is the law?" He would make them repeat that. There was a big thing because of I guess their hybrid nature or whatever. You know, he had this big thing about this law for them. But all the things I heard the brother reading, I'm just sitting here going, who don't know that? What is this, the island of duck? What are we, apes or something? Like, that's common sense. That's not nothing we need a book. That's what I said. That's why I brought that up. It's like that's for like savages, I mean, we actually need that. To me, I'm just listening like that's common, like anybody who's halfway in their right mind. Okay. We're talking about starving people, the reason why people are able to get some. No, bro, it's common right mind. If someone's hungry, they feed them. What? We need a book that says it's divine or something to tell, so we don't let the fellow man starve. I need to read that. Like, what are we talking about here? That's what I'm saying. It's almost like a dumbing down of people. You know what I mean? Like, even when you read, you brought up Zion Lex, and another lost brother, although intelligent. We talk about like the Torah, and you read the laws in there, and it's like, how wicked were you people? Like, what the hell was wrong with you that someone had to actually put this in legislation upon like the penalty of death? You don't know not to sleep with animals? Someone actually had to tell you that. Well, the problem is not that the problem is way, way deeper than that. There's something wrong with you innately in terms of, something that's been rewired. There's some parts in the robot that's malfunctioning. It can't, unless you're just truly an animal. You know, a person who looks at a donkey and becomes sexually aroused has a problem, brothers. A person who could look at a 3-year-old baby and get sexually aroused, that person, you know, is obviously not in their right mind. And I would say that would be, you know, the least. That would be in the minority. You know what I'm saying? That would be like the cosmic sewer of existence of a being. You know what I'm saying? That, but we don't need that in the book to know that. You know what I mean? We don't need that in some legalized form and as a guide. These are natural things. And in terms of, our lower self and higher self, they exist, bro. There's no doubt about it. The point is to be in your higher self. And the lower self is to be in the subjection to the higher self. That's the point of real knowledge, though. You know what I'm saying? To know which one, because the lower self is the fiction, bro. So the duality of the universe is that the part of God, the creation, is the illusion, brother. That's the Maya that we don't get caught up in. That's the whole point of the knowledge, though. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that the potential for people to be in their lower selves exist, why are people living in their lower selves in the first place? Because they're being manipulated to live in their lower selves because they don't know who they are, which is what we would call the higher self. So once you know what you are, then that's the part that's going to lead you, as they say in Christianity, be led by the spirit and not the flesh. I mean, come on. What are we talking about here? I don't need the Circle 7 Quran to know these things, bro. I don't need the Quran. I don't need the Torah. That's for savages. Plain and simple. So you can't tell me that unless you, like, what have you been watching? Have you been watching, like, what do you call it? Like the History Channel or something, where they be telling you the story of how man was once walking around grunting and was just living in the woods? I mean, you sound like a European, bro. There was never a time when man was doing that. Where are you getting that from? There was never a time when there wasn't civilization where man was stupid. Because even if you follow that timeline, we can see we got timelines that outdate that. Poverty point. You see civilization, what we would call civilization. I'm not against civilization, bro. But that's crazy. So I really don't, maybe there's a miscommunication going on here. My point is that nationality is a construct of control. Like when you go and fill out an application and it says African American, such and such, such and such, whatever, Hispanic or whatever, what is that? If that wasn't on the application, no one would be able to use it against you, to discriminate against you. That's what I'm saying, simply. To say, oh, okay, well, he's black, he's not getting the job. You see what I'm saying? So, and even when we look at, you talked about the Europeans, what they did and why the gangs formed. Why were the Europeans doing that to so-called black people? Because they were seeing themselves as separate. They had names. Oh, I'm English, I'm French, I'm Spanish. These are Negroes. And behind that was religion. Not only the Negroes, they're the cursed seed of Ham in the first place. They're supposed to be servants according to the divine decree of God by one of his prophets. So, bro, I can go all day with this and chop this stuff to pieces. Throw it out the window, bro.
Yeah, peace.
It's all in you. Everything you're talking about, you read. A child knows this. I can go. You can talk to it.
Peace, brother Lex. We hit that in a minute mark, and we want to open the floor now for people to ask questions to us or to yourself. So please stick around. But we want to open the floor up now for those that have been listening in.
Cool.
Yeah, Islam. I want to say something. Yeah, we understand that we are the fathers and mothers of civilization, but it's always a time when humanity they fall. Like you can see individuals that you meet in your life. They might have been up one time, and they might fall into a state that they're not normally in, and they might rise back up again. Like a brother might fall to drug addiction. He was up, but then he falls, and then he gets himself together, and he rises himself back up. This happens to humanity as a whole. Sometimes humanity is up, and sometimes humanity falls to an all-time low. And sometimes when they fall down to that low, they need some type of instruction. That's why you have these type of laws that's established in certain societies, which are based upon civilization, was based upon nationality. It gives them a code of ethic because they're not up at the time, as we so called say in the hood. They down. And when you in Amos Quran, chapter 3, 21 and 22 says, the only devil from which man must be redeemed is self, the lower self. If man would find his devil, he must look within. His name is self. If man finds his savior, he must look within. When the demon self has been dethroned, the savior love will be exalted to the throne of power. So this is what we dealing with. We're not looking outside ourselves. We understand that this lower nature of self. We gotta overthrow that lower self so the savior love could be in the throne of power, which is the higher self. So these are the lessons that we got. And to you that may be, basic information, but a lot of people don't understand these type of concepts. That's why we're going through the ills of the world we're going through today. That's why like we live in New York. And right now with the wild wild west out here, people just getting shot up every day out here. Like it's crazy right now. If people understood these type of lessons, we wouldn't be going through that. So sometimes we can't forget because we elevate to a certain level that our brothers and sisters might not elevate to that certain level. So sometimes you need these type of instructions to get ourselves back into the higher self, which is Allah and man. I just want to say that, and we can have the questions and answers.
Oh, real quick. I wanted to just real quick, the sun thing is be like 30 seconds because I remember you brother said the sun is not a law.
Just gonna ask you to try to keep it very
Yeah,
concise
it's
to that
brief.
30
It's 30 seconds at the most, bro. That's what I'm saying. The sun is a law, Everything in it, everything is. There's nothing separate. You know what I'm saying? So everything gets the reverence like that. That's what I'm saying when I said, brother, you sounded kind of like the Europeans and how they describe heathens. Like, yeah, they used to worship rocks and trees and yeah, and it's a reverence because because I believe that the indigenous people understood that everything was God, bro. And that's how you relate in the physical. Like the sun is the closest thing that you can relate to something being the source. But actuality, the sun is God, and you are the sun. I am the sun. The trees, it's all one. There's no separation. Is an illusion. So everything you're seeing is a manifestation of God. So just like man is God, yes, the trees are God, the rivers are God, and the sun is God. And when you got that type of reverence, that's where you get the respect for nature and everything around
That's peace. You don't see the material world as an illusion, though. The material world is the manifestation of the higher self, the higher world, which is the unseen, and that which vibrates to the low vibration, which we perceive by our five senses, is limited, which is the material, which is the illusion. So the sun, moon, and stars are all illusion because that's not the higher world. That's the lower world that's vibrating at a slow rate that we could become that we could see with our eyes. So how can we worship something that's vibrating at a slow rate? That's the product of this illusion that we're in on this plane. When the higher self, which vibrates very, very rapidly, cannot be perceived by our five senses, which is the force behind the sun.
it.
So how can you worship?
Because
So you worship an illusion and don't worship. That's what you worship.
no, I know that the illusion, everything you're seeing, what's behind the illusion is all one. So there's no separation.
Yeah, but the illusion was vibrating very slow. That becomes this that we could conceive it as the illusion because what we see is not really what we see. Like we look at the wall. The wall appears to not be moving, but we know with the protons, neutrons, electrons, and the molecules in it is constantly rotating. Do we perceive that? No, we only see the illusion that is not moving. So how can we worship the sun where that's the manifestation of the lower vibration, which is the illusion?
The
The
same way,
higher vibrations that cannot be perceived, which is that what manifests it.
The same way you say man is a law. That's how. The
No, we
same
say
way. The same
no, but
way.
man is. We just read that man is not Allah. That we don't worship Allah. We are part of Allah. Like the rays are not the sun, but it's a part of the sun. But it's not the sun. We are part of Allah, but we not Allah because we deal with what we call Allah's aloneness, not Allah's oneness. Because we have one, you have two. But you deal with Allah aloneness. It's only Allah that exists. Because when
Yeah,
we deal on this plane, me, you, none of us exist really because this is a manifestation of the lower self. It's only oneness. It's only aloneness, which is Allah.
exactly. You exist in the mind of what you call a law.
Yeah,
So
but
there's nothing but
yeah, but
there's nothing but
yeah,
Allah,
you
bro.
exist in a that. Why would I worship the illusion and don't deal with the Allah? Because this material world, which is the planets, the sun, moon, and stars, are all nothing but a manifestation of the lower self. The vibration of the mind becomes low. Why would I worship something that's a lower vibration?
Because I can easily answer that question. It's called loving yourself.
Yeah, but there's no self though.
Yeah,
If
there
there's only
is.
no, if there's only Allah, there's no self. Self or
That is
ego.
self. That's what it
No,
means,
because
bro.
how can it be a self? Are you the same person you was when you was 4 years old, or did you elevate? Self is like an ego. It's an illusion. There's no self. There's only the oneness. That's
I
all
mean,
that
we can get
exists.
into semantics, but whatever. When I
It's
say self,
pure.
I'm
There's no
talking
self.
about
When you go
there's
beyond,
only
when you
brother.
go
This
beyond,
is simple, bro.
when you go beyond the material existence, which is the vibration or the lower vibration, but you worship in the lower realms, you dealing with the higher self, which is really no self, which is the oneness or what you call aloneness. That's it. Because there's no
Correct.
individual. You said there's no individuality between anyone.
Right.
So how can you worship a sun, which is dealing with separate from the moon? Like those are just lower levels of energy.
No, what I'm saying is I worship the sun, but we use the word worship, which is another word that was introduced by the controllers. That means work. That's for slaves. It's more of a reverence for everything. Just the same way I reverence the sun, just like I reverence you.
Well, it's
But
an
it's like
illusion. It's an illusion.
because I know, but while we're in this illusion, the illusion is on. There's only one being in existence, bro. So
All right,
the
and that's
the
why we and
same.
while we this illusion, we have to deal with nationality.
All right,
While
so
we
look,
didn't
hold
this
up,
illusion.
bro. This is what
That's
I'm
my point.
asking you. When you see a fellow man, are you telling me you're not supposed to see Allah?
And now what lessons it says that when we look into the face of me, look at the face of Allah who lives within. Because
All
so
right,
we
that's the
don't.
only thing in
Yeah,
existence. So
yeah, but we
when
not
I see
seeing
the
when I
sun,
see
I see
man. That's
Allah.
not
It's the
no.
same thing.
When I see man, I'm not seeing Allah because Allah has no physical image, but the breath, the energy that exists, which I cannot be perceived by my senses, is Allah,
And
the
that's seeing
unseen.
past the veil because the physical existence
So,
is not real. So
I,
what is
so
that
right,
man,
exactly.
brother?
So why would you worship the sun, which is that's physical, that's not real?
What is behind the sun?
That's my point. We don't worship the sun as a noble image, but we worship Allah, which is the mind, which is the all.
Okay.
So
So
how you worshiping the material, which is the
and
sun,
I think this
and
is the
you're not dealing with the
difference.
signs behind dealing with the signs of the all.
Yeah, I think this is the difference between really Western Christianity and all those Abrahamic faiths. I mean, I would say that the original understanding is pantheism. Everything is God, so it's not worship. See, worship like you go sacrificing to the sun, but it's the respect for self. Everything you're looking is you pushed out.
I don't understand
So
how you.
God is if every person I see physically, that's really the avatar of Allah, brother. That's simple.
Yeah, but I don't understand how you worshiping the sun when the sun is of lower vibration. This material world is an illusion. Why would you worship something in this material world? This material is the lower self. The sun, moon, and stars are the result of the
All right.
lower lower
So let's
vibration.
get rid of the sun then.
We need the sun in this lower vibration. We need this.
Exactly.
It's just like we need nationality in this lower
So
existence.
in
Exactly.
here,
That's
as
what I'm saying.
above, so below, bro. So let me
We
ask
can't
you this.
negate. Listen, we cannot negate the sun in this plane in existence because we need it. We cannot negate eating food. We cannot negate
No,
social constructs called nationality. They exist on this realm.
no, yes, you can,
That's
bro.
my point.
We can negate nationality, but you can't negate the sun. As
You
above, as
cannot get
below.
nationality because it's been
Hold on,
here.
let me
It's
say
not
this to
going
you,
nowhere.
bro. Well, then stay enslaved then. But my point is that when you talk about the sun, that is the best representation of Allah, as you would say, on this plane, bro.
That's what that's what we read in the Quran. It's a noble image.
All
It's
right, so
of
that's
Allah,
why it's
but it's not
reverenced.
Allah.
That is the symbol that Allah chose to reflect Himself with on this plane.
We don't worship, but we don't worship the sun though.
Exactly, just like other people don't worship the rivers and the lakes and all the other stuff that they try to say is
Yeah,
primitive, and
because why would you worship something that? Why would
that's
you worship
why
something that
they.
exists? But you talk.
Why
I
not?
understand. You talked about all this higher self and the illusion and the matrix, but then you want to worship something that's a material existence. But you talk about spiritual existence, the higher self, which is not material. But now you want to worship something that's material. Doesn't it make
Right,
sense?
because it makes more sense.
It makes more
Because
sense to skip the illusion.
Islam,
if
Islam,
I
Islam.
worship,
We got two
I,
more.
It's 3
Islam,
o'clock, brother.
Islam.
We gotta close out our meeting.
It's
We open up
2:58.
okay,
promptly.
brother.
We open
Yeah,
up promptly. We close promptly.
yeah, we're
But
gonna have to close
we,
that out.
appre-
Yeah.
we appreciate this dialogue. We're gonna put it up on our channel, brother Lex Vortex, which is
What is your channel?
Brooklyn Moors.
Brooklyn Moors. Okay,
Yeah, and
cool.
it was a great dialogue with you, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You brothers are good. Y'all gonna get free. I'm gonna get you free, man. Make sure y'all just subscribe to the Double Master Teacher channel. We're gonna break these matrix chains, man. You know what I'm saying? And free humanity, man. Come under the Tower of Babel, man, under the leadership of the Spirit of Nimrod again, brothers and sisters. But it's been a great conversation, and I know you brothers are knowledgeable. You know what I'm saying? So definitely be a good conversation. I appreciate the honor and respect y'all have for having me come over here and be able to dialogue with y'all, man. So chaos and power to the dark side. Down with the Abrahamic face. My mission is to destroy the Abrahamic face and rebuild the Tower of Babel, man. Praise
Yeah.
power to the dark side. Peace, brothers.
All right, peace. We gotta close out like we close out our meeting, so we're gonna close out in the prayer, Moors.
All right, brother Lex. We understand you don't really follow the Abrahamic faith. So at this time, you could go ahead and leave if you like, or you can stay and listen for the prayer. We're gonna close out our meeting at this time. Once again, we'd like to thank our guest Lex Vortex for coming on our channel, on our platform, on our Zoom. If he has any discussions you want to have in the future, he'll reach out to our Grand Sheik, and they'll work it out at that time. But at this time, we have to give all due reverence to the Creator Allah. And so at this time, I'm going to mute everyone's mic, and you can also continue to participate in the prayer. But I'm going to have everyone's mic muted. So Moors, feet on a 45-degree angle, 5 fingers on the left, 2 on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Ameen. Go in peace, Moors. You could unmute your mics to say peace to everyone. Peace and love, Moors. I'm ending the recording now.